Hello, hello. Welcome back to another edition of The Wicking Conservative. I have with me tonight the lovely Hunter, otherwise known as the Ultra American TTRPGer. I always get that wrong. How are you tonight, sir? Thank you so very much for joining me.
It's always a pleasure to join you. I always have fun with these conversations.
Tonight is going to be no different. It is going to be a happy, fun, light topic of conversation, one that I've been dying to get into for quite a while. And that is the tradition of the season. Thanksgiving, with the holiday just passed and everything kind of being wonky in the world, I figured now's the perfect time to give thanks and actually talk about some nice, lighthearted things like things that bring us together and things that make us happy.
Yep.
I see you doing the Trump dance, and that
Yep.
is one thing I think that really surprised everybody this year. Since politics is the taboo situation, let's just go ahead and clear the air with that. Did you have any issues with politics on this lovely holiday since you were told by the media it was totally going to happen?
Well, unfortunately, unlike our more leftist friends, I have a job that I have to work. Even though it's the season, I got off Thanksgiving, but I had to come back on Friday to work. So I stayed behind. I unfortunately didn't get to spend time with family because they were all out of town and I wasn't going to do the whole drive to and from 24 hours. So I was by myself, but I got some stuff done. I kept myself busy, talked to my family a little bit on the phone, and so it wasn't a bad Thanksgiving. So I didn't have to put up with any of that. But I do know some people in my family are of like that liberal mindset, and they don't expressively share it at the family gatherings because they kind of know like a lot of us do disagree with them, and that's not a fight they want to start. So I didn't have to worry about that, thankfully.
They didn't call you and just say, I'm really glad you weren't here, or just stay home, or nothing crazy. That's good.
It's like, you took my rights away.
How dare you? I just had to call and let you know that since you weren't here to say it to my face, it's funny because the way the media hyped it up, I expected to see a lot of videos of people who were fighting or the cops were called on them, but I didn't hear anything of the sort. Actually, I saw a lot of videos of families getting along.
I think my favorite one, and it's actually one that gets passed around, is this person made a TikTok. It's the Republican table and then the Democrat table, and the Democrat table is basically the little kids table. So I see that make its way around every Thanksgiving. So it's an old one, but I still love seeing it. It just cracks me up every time.
That's the other thing. A lot of the negative memes that I saw or anything like that were really old stuff that's been passed around for a really long time. Now, you did the Trump dance, which made me kind of get on this tangent to start us off. I saw a video of the entire family just doing the Trump dance around the table. Did you happen to see that one?
I did not see that, but what I did see was someone did a. I don't remember the movie it's from, but someone made an AI video, and it's like all the Democrat faces. Joe Biden's about to cut the turkey, and then you may remember what movie where the guy cuts the turkey falls apart, but then out of the turkey, a floating image of Trump comes out, and he's doing the Trump dance. And
Oh,
like as
that's
he
cute.
pops out of the turkey after Joe Biden cuts into it, and all the faces are the Democrats' faces where it's like the.
That is awesome. Now, that's the political side. So we'll go ahead and kind of put that chapter to bed because I know that that is a negative end of the, Thanksgiving holiday. But I'm more curious as to if you didn't have work, what do you do for your holiday? How do you guys typically celebrate? What would be a traditional Thanksgiving for you?
So it switches off every other year on the Thanksgiving meal because my mom's side of the family is Irish and Lebanese ancestry.
Wow.
So every other year they do like a traditional kind of like Lebanese Thanksgiving meal. So it's like rice and kibbeh, grape leaves with the rice like kind of rolled up into them, and my mom makes a. It's this special kind of bread that she makes, and the name escapes me at the top of my head. But she gave me a couple of loaves before she left for the holidays, and I'm like taking my time eating it because I don't because I can eat a whole thing in one sitting because they're like maybe like that big, but I like cut it in half and then I cut the halves in half because it's like I only have this. I must savor it. So
Stock
that's
it up like a squirrel.
yeah, but that's the Lebanese side, and then traditionally it's like ham, turkey, mashed potatoes and gravy. Gotta have the mashed potatoes and gravy in my family. That's like the absolute staple. And then my sisters don't know why or how they got the idea, but they put the creamy corn on top of the mashed potatoes and gravy as well. So it's a
Ooh.
thing that some people do. I don't know why, and it always baffled me. And the fact that some people don't even have creamy corn to go with some of their holiday meals just baffles me because that's all I knew. Oh, and green bean casserole. Can't forget about the green bean casserole as well. So
That is so super popular, and it's funny that you should bring up green bean casserole in particular, because we did, regular fresh green beans, but I had no idea that you could even, like, make it into a casserole, let alone what it was, and my best friend's mom just recently started telling me, like, she makes it for every holiday, and I'm like, I go from never hearing about this dish in my entire life to everybody has it, and I'm just like, wow, that's crazy. I've never seen such a craze for the green bean casserole. I'll say it, I never got the Campbell's commercials.
but another thing that is also kind of a tradition for my church is, and they've done this every year I've been a part of the church, is they'll give out like reusable bags, and they'll give us like a list of like side stuff that we can buy. So get like the cream and mushroom soup, get like the was it the cranberry juice or no,
Oh, the canned cranberries, cranberry
the canned
sauce.
cranberry sauce and all that. Basically, all the side stuff is they'll have you guys. We provide those, and then and then we have a. I forget who provides us. They provide us like several hundred turkeys, and then we
Wow.
also and then we get rolls and the pies for the desserts, and at least those give us like 2 weeks to be able to bring those bags back, and then once a year they actually have to get security out because there'll be a line of cars because so many people will come through, and it's basically they're handing out Thanksgiving meals to people because we're so big on helping out our community. And I don't have the numbers for what because they just did it, but
Mhm.
last year they gave out, I want to say, almost 500 turkeys
That's
as with the
amazing.
meals and all that because again we're big on the community, and that was one of the things I always had was so many churches are big about going out to the world where a lot of we need to be focusing on our own community. So the fact that this was a church that we're trying to fix our world to make a better impact on the overall world is kind of our motto that we go for, and they've done that ever since I've been there. And I participated in it for the first time this year just because I'm in a more financially positive space now that I could have done that. Where I was like, I'll do it this year. It's been going on for so long. I've never done it before. I've been going to church, so I want to contribute and help my community as well. So that's another thing we do.
That is amazing. And you know what? You don't hear a lot about that either anymore. You hear a lot of like the Red Cross or the local food pantries, which are more government funded slash based slash supported. But not a whole lot of church charities. I don't think even a lot of people know that they can go to their, local churches and inquire for those sorts of things sometimes. So to hear that there is an establishment that wants to give back to their parishioners and the people that may not even know that, like, hey, this is a thing for us. And those are dangerous too, depending on which area you get
Patty's in the
in.
chat. Patty's in the chat. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
no, that's wonderful.
What
Hello,
up, Patty?
hello. I am going to go ahead and send him the link as well. And we'll have him join us for the chat. But please continue on. Who cooks those delicious mashed potatoes?
So the potato. Are you talking about my family, or is what you're?
Mhm.
Okay. My mom and dad are usually the main people who cook. They may have us do with like some like preparation stuff, like maybe peeling the potatoes and all that. But when it comes to holidays, the parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, they're the ones in charge of the kitchen, and maybe a few of the older cousins if we're together with family. because the majority of my family, my parents were born and raised in Kansas City, one of the Missouri side, one of the Kansas side. And
Wow.
so that's where the majority of that family is. My mom was one of 4 sisters, one of them 9 daughters. And
Wow.
the majority of them are all married. Some married, some may have been divorced, remarried, but they all have at least 2 or 3 kids now. So my mom's side of the family is humongous, and
Yeah.
and it doesn't go where after every couple years we have to switch houses because the family gets so big with all the babies and the toddlers and the more cousins on top of cousins.
Wow. Oh my goodness. And nobody has a big family anymore. Are they typically like, since everybody's so spread out, I imagine that you can't get together a whole lot, or is that like not the thing?
You actually, the majority of that family either lives in the Kansas City area or somewhere not too far away from the Kansas City area. My mom's side of the family, at least. My dad's side of the family, he was only one of 2 brothers, and my uncle, his brother, lives out in the DC area because he does some kind of government. He has some kind of government job out there. I don't remember at the top of my head what it is, but majority of the family still kind of remains in the Kansas City area for that most part. So.
Nice. We are getting a Patty appearance.
Hello.
Hello. How are you? Let's see if this will come off the
Trying to
pin.
do good. I don't
There
know
we
why
go.
my camera's not working. Hold on
Oh.
1 second.
Oh, no worries.
Hold
No
on. Let me
worries.
turn this off.
Hunter was just telling us
My
about the
camera's
extra large family that he has, which is absolutely blowing my mind at this point in time that people actually have more than one children in this generation in which we witness.
My my church we're also big on the whole family because we do a lot of things also with like foster homes, adoption agencies. We have a organization in this area called Project Zero. And what it does is it helps kids whose parents had their custodial rights completely taken away from them, help those kids find for new forever homes. And
Wow.
what my church does is we actually have like a very like highly trained set of like photography people. We kind of make like advertisement videos for the kids. So they record the kids just talking about themselves, saying what they want for the family. And these videos have actually helped, I want to say like maybe up to 100 kids at least get adopted now into new families at this
Wow.
point. So we've always been big on family. And the little children's leader who's like a family friend of ours since my sister was in elementary school, my littlest one, she has at least 3 kids, and I think she just gave birth to her 3rd kid. And what's
Oh wow.
funny is husband's white, she's mixed, kids come out light skinned with ginger hair. It is both the strangest and cutest phenomenon I've ever seen.
Oh,
Yeah, that
Patty
ginger
knows
trait
something.
skips.
Yeah.
Yeah, that ginger trait skips. So none of my kids are ginger, but
Yeah,
more
Really?
than likely all of their kids will be ginger.
yeah. Wait till this
Wow.
grows out more. The ginger really starts popping when the beard starts growing out
Dude,
more.
you get to do December beard?
Oh my
I
goodness.
during the winter time, I'll always grow it out. I start with the no
Oh,
shave
there you go.
remember, and then I just grow it out, and then I always shave off the stash because it will not connect to save my life. It's just always this weird patch where the stash. I thought about making a pun and just actually doing the Dirty Sanchez, the Nazi stash, just to mess with
Oh yeah.
everyone. But I'm like, nah, that'd be a little much even for me.
We're
No.
thankful this year you did not do that. I was gonna say, Patty, you know a little something about rearing kids up. How did the, kids take the Thanksgiving this year?
Really well. We go over to my in-laws in Montana, and so we're a growing family. My in-laws, they had the 4 daughters, and I married the youngest of the 4. And
Wow.
then the second daughter has 2 kids, and then we have our 3 kids. And I mean, they built that. I mean, it's a tiny log cabin, but my father-in-law built that tiny log cabin when he got back from being drafted. And
Wow.
I mean, we're talking like a kitchen that really isn't. I mean, the kitchen's probably even smaller width-wise than the room that I'm in. And we all
Amazing.
just cram into this tiny little kitchen / dining room area. We have like the kids' table that's behind us, and it's funny because my niece, who is now 19 going on 20, still sits at the kid table because
Oh.
the dining room table only fits the number of adults that we have. So
You
yeah,
haven't
her
upgraded
and her
yet.
brother still sit at the kids' table with my 2 boys, so it's pretty funny.
Oh, they probably love it though. They get to be the big dogs on campus and pretend a little bit before the big moment comes. And I always say being around the younger kids at that age is great birth control. I mean, you can't get any better than I'm going to watch these kids and they're going to do what they want to do in front of me, but at least their parents are right there. At least I can kind of grab somebody if anything happens, because goodness knows I don't want that to happen to me.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I guess they're not offended then. It's not like the Democrat table. Hunter was telling us about the meme. I'm sure you've seen it too, with the Democrat table, and it's the kids and just a couple like millennials just chilling.
No, I was telling some of the other creators.
Makes this round every year.
I was telling some of the other creators that I talked to, the guys that did the deck of many triggers, and they're recapping their Thanksgiving dinner, talking about, oh yeah, they got into this discussion with this in-law, and they got into this discussion with that sister, and I'm like, I don't get to have those discussions because all my in-laws and even my parents were all on the same page. So I was just like, hey, what do you think about this? Yeah, same. Turkey's good though. No, ham is better. Oh, okay.
One of my
the extent of our argument. Sorry.
One of my favorite people I follow on Instagram. She's this I forget her name right now, but she's a lesbian. And the meme is she stitched it was someone was like, my gay ass going to Thanksgiving dinner to see who voted away from rights. And then it cuts to her and she's like, my gay ass praying with my father, thanking God for Trump being now in the White House. So
oh, that's awesome. Oh, yeah, it's funny. I thought that we would have a big thing, but it really wasn't. So I guess let's get into that discussion, right? Like there is, from what I understand now, 4 acceptable meals for Thanksgiving. You have your regular turkey, you have your regular ham, then you have the turducken, and I've been introduced to the tofurkey. The tofu turkey is now acceptable.
No. You've been lied to. It's not acceptable. It's something that they're trying to sell you on. It's wrong. It's terrible.
I thought, who thinks of these things? I mean, the turducken, okay, a man thought of that, obviously.
Correct. Yes.
No, did you guys see it's the turkraken, where it's a turkey and then it's got octopus tentacles coming out where you would put the stuffing?
Yeah.
Oh no!
Release the turkraken.
God, no. I have to confess, I've never been a turkey person. My birthday is on the 25th, so every 4 years it is Turkey Day. And as a kid, they would always tell me I couldn't have any birthday cake until I ate my turkey. So my secret weapon was Bullseye barbecue sauce, and they had to have it, and it would be smothered to the point where like you couldn't even see the turkey.
I thought you were about to say that the turkey was a cake, so they made a cake in the shape of a turkey. That's why I thought you were about to go for a second. One of those, is it food or is it cake?
I'm a little bit too old for that trend. That didn't start until recently, thank goodness. So, Patty, you said your birthday is which day?
On the 23rd.
23rd. Sagittarius is the best, I have to say. And we're right on the cusp of Scorpio, too. So we get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
I'm Sagittarius. December 4th next week is my birthday. So
hey, yeah.
Good.
There you go. Look at this. And imagine that we were all here to be thankful for all the food that we were just cooked.
Yeah.
Ain't no party like a saggy party.
That's right. A saggy party. Oh no. Pick it up.
What sides does everybody typically have? Because that's a whole nother topic of conversation. I didn't know what to cook this year, so we went like completely left field, and I looked up some crazy recipes. What was the craziest like side dish that somebody brought this year? Or any year?
Side dishes. So for the longest time, so my wife got diagnosed with celiac, so we needed to do gluten-free. And
Oh,
there was like
goodness.
the handful of years where everyone was trying to get used to that. And so there was a couple of attempts at stuffing using gluten-free bread that really just
Oh.
became like mush. It was like a conglomerate of all the stuff, and then like you could easily pick out the celery because it was obvious. It was the one thing that wasn't consistent with everything else. I think this year they finally nailed it, so that was pretty good. Finally nailed it. And then what made me sad was the green bean casserole no longer has like the crunchy French fried onions on top, because
that is a cardinal sin.
You can't find them. You can't find the onions gluten free. So like the one of the few things that I started to really enjoy as an adult, because when you're a kid, you're like, ugh, green bean casserole, I don't like that, And then as an adult, I'm like, man, I could just eat like the whole jar of like the French fried onions.
Yeah.
I love it.
Mhm.
So I'm like, oh yeah, you gotta double pour that on there. And then this year they're like, everything is gluten free. And I looked over at the green bean casserole and immediately was like, shit! Taking my joy!
You should have just made like a little pan for yourself.
I know.
Uh-huh.
I didn't plan for it. They came out of left field.
My husband is the hardest person to cook for. He only eats meat. And when I say like meat, I mean it's meat. Like if I can get him to eat lettuce, there has to be meat on it. So we always do like a spread. And I thought, well, I'm gonna trick him this year. I'm gonna try to get him to eat some stuffing. So I found this recipe for sausage stuffing, and you put breakfast sausage in it. And I made it with fresh bread and homemade, and I excluded onions. He hates onions. So I got to make that, and I succeeded. That's what I'm thankful for. I got him to eat something that was not meat.
Very good. Well done.
We had to go a little out of our way and put meat inside of it, but there was bread and he ate it. And it didn't have sauce or cheese on it to be consistent with pizza.
Very nice.
Hunter, what did you have weird on your Thanksgiving? I was gonna say Halloween, but I guess we're past that.
Yeah. I can't really think of anything like super crazy at the top of my head. I'm personally not a big stuffing fan myself. I don't eat it that much either, but I would try the sausage stuffing. That sounds really good if someone made that. But I'm also a guy that I'll eat anything that's on the plate as long as it's edible at the same time. So I can't really think at the top of my head of anything like super crazy or disgusting that someone may have brought for Thanksgiving one time or whatever. So
You got good
nothing
cooks then. Good cooks in the kitchen. That's a plus.
Yeah, I think it's because everyone knows, because I come by basically especially my mom's side of the family. We love our food and we love our alcohol. So
very nice.
Now, aside from the food, what does everybody get down to during the day? Now, this was another like big custom like shocker when I got together with my husband and we actually started doing like holidays together. Did you know that some people don't wake up and watch the parade? Like, this was news to me.
I honestly completely forgot about the parade this year. I didn't watch it. I completely forgot. The first time I think I've ever actually forgotten the Macy's Day Parade. But actually, I wish I did, because I'm sorry. I hate them talking politics, but I heard that the stupid Palestine protesters tried to interfere with the parade as well.
No
That was all over
way.
social media. There was a picture of them, like, they actually ran out into the middle of the parade as they were coming down with like their Palestinian flags and a sign that I don't remember what it said, but you could see the giant balloons coming up behind them as they're trying to sit in the streets. So I just happened to see that. So I wish, like, I wonder if that was covered actually in the parade, if they actually caught that or not. So I kind of wish I did see it now, just to see. I'm hoping the cops just kind of just pulled out their billy clubs and beat them and dragged them off of the parade.
Well, I was a little concerned because they did interview the police right before the parade. I watched whatever network went live on Peacock, and It was Al Roker and those folks. So they're down on 65th Street, I guess, right in front of Macy's, and they do, because I like to watch the Rockettes. They're my favorite. So I like to catch the shows as they come into the square and whatnot. But the police officers that they interviewed before the parade, though, they were talking like how green they were. I think they each had less than 10 years on the force total, and it was both their first years at the parade
Oh my
doing
gosh.
the thing. Yeah.
I'm not surprised given how, and I'm sorry, I'm trying not to go down the positive, but we keep bringing up stuff up and it makes me think. And so I'm thinking, like, with how badly we have treated so much of our emergency forces, as much as we mistreat our police officers, I'm not surprised that the only people they had are brand new cadets, basically. That was our fault, basically. I mean, I'm glad we're getting new cadets because we desperately effing need them. So that's one positive, is that we're getting new people, but the fact that we're green only proves this. So I'm sorry, that thought went loose there. I apologize.
No. Yeah, it's a great point, because I always think of like how many officers they have in the front of the parade. I'm like, well, who's on duty then in the rest of the city if you have all the officers on parade?
Well, I mean, I could tell you that because in our small town, for the longest time, we went for a stint where we had one cop, and we have, I think our population is like somewhere between 15 and 1,800 people. And I mean, recently we have as many as 7. But yeah, there were a couple of events that we do. Like, we do the lawnmower races where people like kit out their lawnmowers and they drag race them down the street. And you'd see all 2 cops on shift, like walking up and down the street. And you're like, man, it'd be a really bad time if something happened at Miller's, you know what I mean, at the grocery store.
Or the bank.
Right.
That's where my thoughts always go. Like, who's watching the bank?
There's always somebody watching the bank. Always.
Yeah, I asked.
It's like, watch the bank. I want to watch the lawnmowers.
I'm like, this is crazy to me, because you got the balloons and then you've got those little people that are holding the balloons. There's another thing I noticed. They were really close to the buildings this year. I don't know if like it got smaller or the balloons got bigger or people got like angled weird in the street, but it looked like Ronald McDonald could have just like been touched from the buildings if you were just there watching the parades and just reached out and touched them. I was like, wow, that's kind of crazy. Do you guys do sports?
So we drove, of course, it's like a 3-hour drive from where we're at to the in-laws' house.
Oh, wow.
And
Goodness.
I have this really bad thing where if I drink coffee, and this is why Kitty always says that I'm ADHD, because if I drink coffee, I'm passing out later. So I barely made the trip there. And I get on the couch, kick the recliner back, and I'm out. I'm done. And I wake up to the Bluey theme song, and it's Bluey, the Bluey balloon that's rolling down the street. I'm like, oh, dude, that's so cool. Hey, kids, come check this out. I'm back out.
Just like Grandpa.
Yeah. Already there, guys.
There wasn't any good sports on. No good sports that I wanted to watch. Do you guys do the dog kennel show after the parade? That was always a big thing when I was younger, watching the dogs afterwards.
They have a dog kennel show after parade? This is news to me.
I've seen it once or twice. If my brother-in-laws are there, we do catch up on football. But I was working on another project because I have homework and art commissions that I really got to catch up on. So I was pretty engrossed in that.
Yeah, I ended up working on, because our mutual buddies, the Red Room, have a game jam they were doing on, and I've been working on my my wretched Dixie submission, which is Civil War gaming for the wretched system that they have. So I did I got the main events of Civil War timeline. I got some NPCs because I've set it up. You can play as either the Union side or the Confederate side, depending on what you want to do at your table. Make it historical fiction where the Confederates are in, or make it supernatural with some creatures that are about to come in. Which is what I got to do next. Is I got to work on the little adventures for the little thing that I'm working on, because I still got plenty of room to work with. I just got to get it done. So, but I have till January to get it done. So, but I'm making good progress on it.
As Amutu just chimed in and said a pug won the dog show this year. That's crazy. I'm not a big fan of the pugs personally. I like the big dogs a lot better than the smaller dogs. And pugs just have those ugly, like drooly faces. They look like they're just wet all the time.
They gave it the mercy win because it like had a conniption, like just
like pin that dog.
Man, that little guy tried so hard. Yeah, you win, buddy. Good job.
The Victim Olympics for dogs. So here's another good question for you guys. Usually I wake up in the morning because we do a ham, and everything that I cook is so simple that it's all done before noon. So this year, instead of doing the easy stuff, I went the hard route and I cooked literally all day long. I got up, I condensed my own milk for my pies, I baked everything, I cooked everything, and we ate at dinner time. What time do you guys usually eat? And not the kitties, not the dogs, not the cats.
Eating the dog.
They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs.
It's a great timing.
Patty got some pussy.
The cat's eating me.
See, he caught on. He was like, "Not today, Dad. Not today." Oh shit! That's funny.
Well, yeah. So my in-laws are pretty good hunters, and they're usually out there on Thanksgiving Day up until the last minute if they can, because hunting season comes to an end around Thanksgiving time. So this year we got a little bit lucky. We didn't have to start too late, but we've had some years where it's like, hey, we just shot a bull this morning. No one's eating until we get it down off the mountain. Like, come on, let's go.
Like an actual bull?
Like a bull elk, yeah.
Oh, okay, an elk. I thought you meant I'm thinking like a bull bite. I'm thinking like a bison bull. Like you went out in the wilderness, you shot it, and then you're.
My niece did get a bison one year, and that was pretty cool.
Wow. Did you divvy that up amongst the whole family?
Usually by the time I'm up and getting there, I can't really go on the hunting trips, but I always get asked to help bring the meat down.
Well, as long as you get some.
Yeah. There was the 1 year back when we were on our first Discord or Guilded server. I think I was sharing pictures with you because it was really cool. It was a super dreary day, like very overcast and everything. And where my brother-in-law had shot his, I think this particular year, he filled his deer tag and was with a buck. And it took us like an hour to get up the mountain. And by the time we like crested up towards the top of the mountain, we were above the cloud line. And it was just sunshiny for hours and hours around. I'll have to find the pictures and send it to you.
Oh, hell yeah.
While you guys talk, but if I could find it, because it was a really cool picture.
Yeah. So my family, it's usually a dinner time thing. And it's like, of course, you got to start the turkey like way early to make sure it's cooked completely through and just right. You want it to where it's cooked, but you still want those juices still soaking inside of it. So that way, when you take that bite of that meat, it just falls apart in your mouth for a turkey. And then we don't make our own pies. We usually just buy them. So if we got our pumpkin pie, you got pecan pie. My dad's personal favorite is French silk pie, which is like this super chocolate pie. And you have to make, if you want a piece of that pie, you better get to that first, or else my dad's going to eat at least half of it before everyone else gets to it.
That's right. Chocolate silk pie is my absolute favorite. But, I don't think I've made it in a couple years. There was this Hershey's recipe that was so freaking thick. It's the thickest pie I think I've ever seen in my life. And you chill it, and I couldn't even cut it. It was almost like a giant Hershey bar in a pie crust. It was like, whoa. I'm gonna have to send you the recipe so that your dad can make it. He'd probably love it.
Oh, my mom would, because they're trying to do back their little, like, their no carbs, no sugars kind of diet thing. So my mom would kill my dad if he got that recipe.
Scratch that. We'll keep it to ourselves. He'll have to fend for himself. That's a lot of pie, though. There is a great debacle: sweet potato or pumpkin pie. Is your family sweet potato pie or pumpkin pie? It's so hard to tell.
Pie.
Yeah.
Usually pumpkin pie, but sweet potato pie is good. I have had sweet potato pie before. I'm actually very big on pumpkin pie. There's something about the pumpkin, the filling on the pumpkin pie that's just super good. That just makes me want more of it.
That's that condensed milk. Also, Doro says both pies.
Oh.
I think
Why not
that's the
both?
right answer. Why
Oh,
choose?
it's like there's nothing better good than a Thanksgiving cream pie too, if you know what I mean. I'm sorry.
That's after dinner wear. After dinner wear.
You can't do it after dinner. You'll be too much of the food coma to be able to get it up. Sorry.
So
I
again,
know.
that was another thing. Like I remember growing up and being like, pumpkin pie is where it's at, and it's really just as much whipped cream as you could fit on top of your pumpkin pie. And then you dig down, and you're like, oh yeah, there is pumpkin pie underneath all this. But then when I got older, there was something about like I think the family gets the Costco like pecan pies, like a really big Costco sized pecan pies. And then that one instantly became my favorite when I really started to enjoy it. Like my parents were just hiding this wonderful thing from me, being like, "Oh no, you definitely want the pumpkin pie. You don't want pecan pie." I'm like, "Yeah, pecan pie looks gross. You don't get whipped cream when you get pecan pie." But Kitty made me basically it was like a giant Reese's cheesecake peanut butter cup for my birthday, and then she made it again for Thanksgiving dinner, and she didn't like the way that she remade it this time for Thanksgiving dinner, so I got to eat more of it to myself.
Nice.
None less now. What have I done?
Also says the worst pie he ever had was still good pie, and pecan pie is divine too. I was never a pecan fan, to be honest with everybody. Although to be real, I don't think I've retried it since I've been an adult. I've not really liked any type of pies. It's the crust. I'm more of a cake type of person, but I guess that's why they decided that, my birthday should come with turkey and cake.
Yeah.
Good incentive.
I'm sparing my mom for having to make me a birthday dinner this year. We're going to go out for a change instead. But I'm pretty sure they're not going to ask me what kind of cake I want, because last year I don't think they did, because I don't care how old you get. You're never too old. Let me get my words right here. You are never too old to not have cookie cake.
Oh,
Cookie cake?
yeah. Oh,
So
yeah.
you're talking about just like the giant platter cookie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the giant cookie, all the icings on it. Don't be a pie bigot.
You pie bigot.
I like that one.
Ask for the pie's pronouns before you dig into it. Ask for its consent.
Is there somebody we didn't ask for consent?
It wasn't a good time to be a pie.
Oh God, somewhere out there,
funny.
someone's pronouns are pie. No, someone's pie is someone's pronouns out there. I bet you.
Well, we're probably somebody trying to tell how to use pie pronouns. Those are my favorite.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, we forgot apple pie. My friend in Pittsburgh said she was making apple pie, and she's really particular about the way that she makes her apple pies. She remembers the best thing about her childhood is her mom's apple pie. And it was super special because she would dice up the apples extra thin and extra tiny. So it would kind of like melt together into like almost like a sauce, she said, inside the pie and with the crust. And she's like, it was the perfect ratio. And just one of those things that she really uses to recreate the magic of the season and kind of honor a tradition that, her mom taught to her and so on and so forth. So I guess that brings us down to traditions. What do you guys remember doing as kids that you incorporate still now to this day, besides the pie?
For my family, it's games. My brother-in-law is always coming up with these really funny games for both Christmas and Thanksgiving. And so this year it was marshmallows themed. And it's like the very first game was we put like the red Solo cups on our hands. And then there was like a pile of marshmallows and everyone got timed for how fast they could pick up the marshmallows with their Solo cup hands and then put it into a bowl. And
Oh
I
my
got best time, 6 seconds.
Nice.
Hey!
That was definitely the outlier for that one. And then what else do we do? Oh yeah, there was like they're basically like circus games. You know what I'm talking about? Where it's like this. I don't know if we're supposed to win this one or just look like fools when we're playing it. So yeah, we were doing that. And it was like catching the marshmallow into a glass bowl 10 feet away. And then it eventually devolved into a marshmallow fight. So that was pretty fun.
Definitely cleaner than an icing fight, I will say. That's always been a tradition that even though we're older now, we fight with the icing. And I'm like, we should stop this. This should not be a thing. I like the marshmallow idea better.
It's a lot
Anything
easier to clean
special
up.
for you, Hunter?
Excuse me. Sorry.
That goes with the holiday too. It's exhausting.
So I don't really recall many like actual like party games or anything going on because it was usually like either all the guys would be watching whatever football game is playing at the time. All the little kids will be in like whoever cousin's playroom playing with toys up there. There may be a card game going on with some of the aunts, uncles, older cousins and stuff, and then it's just talking family because that's all it was about. Was just about being with family. That was always our biggest thing, especially on my mom's giant side of the family. Hey, Violence, how you doing? And this year especially, I know I mentioned this on Twitter when it happened last year, was unfortunately last Christmas weekend we lost my grandmother on my mom's side. She passed away during that Christmas weekend. So now we're getting the holidays, and this is the first time we've had the holidays without her. And my granddad, they actually moved him into a smaller home because they were worried about him being in that big house they lived in for years by himself. And so my mom and my aunts, they see him and they help out every now and then. My mom will literally make food down here for him, and she'll take it to him so that way he has stuff to eat. Because he's kind of he's in this weird up and down kind of stage because it's like he took care of my grandma for so long because she started to suffer from dementia, and then she had all these underlying issues from just because she smoked for so long too. That's part of the reason why at one point I was smoking like a chimney was because I had a lot of family members that smoked as well at one point when in my younger years. But unfortunately, I don't anymore. I've been 5-6 years now. I've been smoke free, I think. Officially.
Congrats, dude. That's awesome.
It's a long time.
Awesome.
But I think, especially during this time, just us being together as a family is what's going to make us kind of even though she's not with us, she's in spirit and in memory. She'll always be with us because she was our in Lebanese, the word for grandmom is Siti. And so we called her our Siti because that's the Lebanese word for grandmother. And so she was always kind of she was like the rock of that almost that whole family in a sense. And so we all have each other, and so it's just that basically it's what I remember most about Thanksgiving and holidays in general is just us as a family just being together.
That is so sweet. There is something to be said about everybody stepping up together, nobody kind of filling that matriarchal role of the family, kind of letting it simmer for a little while till everybody kind of gets settled again, or at least until the spouse passes on so that it's not so overwhelming or disorienting for them too, because I'm sure it's really, really hard. Violence agrees with you. Violence's life is in the chat, card games and football. And she said that that's exactly what her mom's family is like. Her dad's mom passed of Alzheimer's, unfortunately. And, I think that that's a big thing that gets overlooked in the grand scheme of being thankful, because if these people weren't such a big part of the holiday or a big part of your family life, they would kind of just disappear around this time and not a lot of things would remind you of them. But even in the few things that we've kind of talked about, I think that we've been able to kind of show that it does remind us of the individuals who didn't quite make it or who are not able to participate all at once. Because, Hunter, you had work and weren't able to travel with your family. And I know that that's rough, especially when the kids are small, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because my parents took my son with them for the weekend because they helped me because of the hours of my job, because I get up early in the morning and I get off in the afternoon. So my parents helped me out with so much in regards to my son, because again, I'm a single dad. I don't have a wife or a girlfriend or anyone to help me. Still trying to find out the right one. So ladies, if you're single, hit me up. Maybe, I don't know. Just throw that out there just for
game.
shits and giggles. Here's my Rumble, so call me maybe. But so they took him with me. But no, that's one thing is that's one thing when I talk about family is especially when my son was born, and that was during the time when I was going through a very deep stage of depression, trying to get my life back on track, going to therapy for a lot of my stuff I was dealing with at the time. Right after my son was born, people from my church, my own family, they all kind of came together. They're like, "Hey, we're here to help," kind of deal. Like when I had to finally file for my sole custody of my son when he was 9 months old, and we went to the courthouse. I had family members there. I had people from my church that were there. There was like a lower level and an upper level of that courtroom. The entire seating area, that lower level, was full of people that were there to support me and cheer for me. And even the judge, when she came down, she presented us with a little set of toddler cars to give to my son.
That's so
The judge
awesome.
herself. So, and when she ran into my dad some months later after that, she said, I've always remembered that day because of all the people that came to support that man.
Unfortunately, Violence took herself off the table. She is married, but there's somebody out there for you, I promise. It's so funny that we're talking about that because, it's really difficult to adopt a child with two biological parents alive and well, especially when you are going through the agency process on your own. You don't have an adoption personnel that's going to help you through, or like a spot that does it. When you're doing it private as your own individual self, it's such a difficult process. My husband adopted my oldest daughter, and I just remember going through all of the hoops that we basically had to jump through in order to do the process, and how much money it cost us. I was like, man, this is why people aren't going out and doing this, and this is why they're not stepping up to the plate and kind of going through the motions, and they're doing it kind of on the back end. So I'm thankful for all the people that actually do it right, who will go and step up to the plate and put themselves out there like that, because it's not an easy process.
Yeah, it was just because we were trying to give my son's mother the fair share of a chance to kind of be there, but my son is one of 4 siblings. He sees the youngest half brother. They play and see each other often because we keep in contact with his dad and all that. The oldest of the 3, the next one above Emmett, is a boy that was adopted by a cousin on that side of the family. We don't see him that much, but every now and then. And then the oldest is a daughter that she had years back, adopted by some family in Oklahoma. That's all I know for that story. So it's like it's like as much as I point out that she would not make bad decisions, it's also like we have to. There was also like a lot underlying issues that she herself dealt with, and she was just kind of like a lot. She was basically a lost soul that just didn't know how to approach everything. So it's like so it's like even after that, all we do now is just pray and hope she finds peace and gets herself back on the right track. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Violence says that her Tennessee husband has very little to do with his family, and it's very strange to her as a Cajun. And you two are very close, apparently, with your extended family. And I remember being close to the extended family when we were younger, but moving into like the teenage years and so on, uh everybody kind of went their own separate way, and that's kind of the danger of like big families, right? Is that everybody's kind of got a mind of their own, and when they branch out to certain lengths of the earth, that it's really hard to get everybody back together. So it's really impressive for me to hear that you guys have such big families, that you stay in contact, that you like each other, you get along. That's just so strange, I think, to
Yeah.
hear.
Well, especially for my mom's side of the family, it was just one of those things where it's like we always knew that no matter what happened, no matter what you did, we were always there for you to fall back on if you needed our help with anything. That's why no one's really left like the Kansas City area where my extended family lives, because everyone's there for each other, regardless. Like again, like I shared earlier, a lot of my cousins and I do not see eye to eye politically, but we're always there for each other. We still talk to each other. Politics doesn't even get brought up, honestly, half the time. There may be like a Facebook post we may comment on that they share or something, but that's like the extent of it. My dad has called out my cousins so many times on the Facebook post they put out, but that's the extent of that. But we're all family and we're always there for each other regardless. That's just something that was always instilled in us. I've never seen it any other way in my family.
That's awesome. Patty, does your family pretty much kind of raise you guys the same way? You just you have to live with each other, your family.
Have to live with each other.
Yeah, it's hard for me to comment on because I love my mom and my stepdad and my grandma. My step grandma's no longer with us. But as far as my sperm donor, I don't know where he's at. I don't know what he does. And then my two biological brothers, I don't know where they're at or what they do. So I'm pretty fortunate to have been accepted into the family that I'm in, with all my in-laws, and always grateful, super grateful that I get to catch my mom and my stepdad and my grandma when I do. I wish it was more often, but geographically, they're like a 2-day drive from us, which is a lot closer than when she lived in Vegas. When I was growing up, we weren't incredibly fortunate. I mean, we were. I mean, I'm here. I'm still alive. That's plenty fortunate. But yeah, we used to do a lot of like going to other people's houses and celebrating Thanksgiving with them. So it was very, very cool to have friends like that growing up. So yeah, the way that I spend Thanksgivings now versus how I used to spend Thanksgivings is completely different.
Wow, I was going to say it kind of sounds the same because you were traveling so much as a child, and now you're traveling again so much to the extended family. So there is a little bit of crossover there, but I love that because it really kind of proves that you don't have to be biologically related to find the family
Correct.
that you're supposed to find. And it is really nice. I know that Violet says that she goes to the Veterans Bar and Grill for Thanksgiving because they put on a buffet and they hang out at the VFW. And even though it's good to be close to family, sometimes friends become just as much family as biological, depending on where you are in the world and juxtaposition to where you are with your biological family and circumstances, because we all have pasts and we all have, issues that we have to kind of get over. And I love that you drove it home that you're here, because ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what we should be thankful for, is the fact that we are here living in
Yeah.
this wonderful time and have the opportunity to even bitch about things that are crappy.
Yeah,
Yes.
I know.
Yeah, like, it's
Another
true.
family.
Uh-oh.
I'm
No, go
sorry, I
ahead.
didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry, it's being a little iffy on my end again, so I apologize if I accidentally interrupted anyone at any point. So, unfortunately, I was going to share. I was in the Boy Scouts at one point. Actually, made it all the way to Eagle Scout, and so I was the second one in my family. My great granddad was the first one in my family to be Eagle Scout. May he rest in peace. And we unfortunately one of the older scouts that was in the troop. He's like maybe a few years older than me. His family also ended up being family friends of ours, and they also went to church with my family. Well, unfortunately, the wife of it's because the guy's dad that I was friends with was a scoutmaster. His wife, unfortunately, she passed away recently due to I forget what type of cancer it was that she had, but I had my daddy because I'm just going through Facebook and I see these posts and I'm like, Dad, did you know that this woman passed away? And he's like, yeah, did I not tell you? No, the fuck you didn't. That's how the conversation went, but it just blew me off guard because I wasn't expecting it. And I just feel like I think, like I said, as on the same side with my own grandmother, it's like there's families out there that are celebrating without like loved ones that may have been like their rock or their foundation. And so that's why I always, again, digging deep on the aspect of just family being together, being so important during this time of year, especially if you're one of those people that suffers. Unfortunately, I don't suffer with the seasonal depression that many others do, but if you do, I would definitely suggest get with your family and start reconnecting with them if you need to.
Just to tap on what Violence said, we're all Sagittarius in this room. She was wondering about the fella's astrology. I'm not sure who she's referring to, but I think that's like a win for us in particular because it's really hard for a Sagittarius to get depressed about anything.
Yeah. Like we're born with
it. Should have met me like 5 years ago.
Well, you're the cusp on the other end. So I can't really quite remember what comes next here because I don't have the wheel in front of me, but I'm sure it has to do with the next sign in the zodiac. Now Scorpio is a little bit feisty, so you mix that side with the Sagittarius and then you end up with like Patty and I, but on the back end of that you're cusping on the next zodiac sign there, so there's a good chance that's where that comes from.
Well, I'm gonna look that up now because it's gonna bother me if I don't know what this is now. So hold on, I gotta look it up real quick.
Yeah, I think the next sign is Capricorn, but
hold on, I'm typing on my phone.
Kitty told me. I think I'm supposed to be like I don't know. I didn't know that there was like a rising and like a setting or whatever, and so I think I'm like a Sagittarius, Scorpio, and I was like,
it is Capricorn.
Yeah,
that doesn't make a whole lot of
sense.
Yeah, again, typical Sagittarius, just perpetuated with myself. I'm like, I don't know. There's what comes before me, and then who cares? So we get a Leo in the chat and another Capricorn. Violence is our Capricorn and also is our Leo. I love Leos. Leos are extremely giant personalities. They come with just this great big shining ball of light that kind of follows them everywhere. It's always interesting to me to meet a Leo. But what else? Oh, that's what I wanted to ask. Cards. Somebody brought up playing cards, and there's a reason why I don't play cards with anybody, and it's because I can't count. I hate counting in front of people, and it makes me so self-conscious that I'm backing out about every card game. So that was another big shell shocker when I got with my husband, is that they were card sharks. That's all they did was play cards, and they would play like viciously towards each other. And it's like the most intimidating thing is to walk in and be like, oh yeah, come sit down, play cards. Come on.
Come on, Georgia.
We got balloons down here. Play cards with us.
It's just chips.
Yeah, my family had its own version of. I'm trying to remember. It's like it's kind of it's like you take it's a deck of playing cards, but the game we play it works like Phase 10, where you have the runs and the sets and all that. But then everyone has a roll of quarters they would bring because everyone puts money down on who wins the round. And whoever wins the round wins that pot, and then there's like I don't forget how many rounds there is, and it's just everyone betting with the roll of quarters the entire time.
That's card shark activity. I won't have it. As soon as the table's cleared, dealer's choice all night. See, that's dangerous. The house always wins, and when you're visiting, that you should know. Don't put your money down.
I got a book that tells me a little something about magic and gambling here somewhere.
That's true. That is true. And if you make yourself a magical gambling technique, I'm sure that you can master it and have a lot of luck. I know that numbers are kind of my thing, like that numbers that appear, like not counting, not adding, not cards, but like numbers, lottery numbers. I'm good at that.
Okay, so because we're talking about cards, it made me think about this. Did you all ever watch a show called Duckman? It was a cartoon show.
There was a movie, wasn't there?
He was like this big time like craps player, from what I heard. They made this. Well, someone made a TTRPG based around that TV show, but the way you roll the dice was like you were playing craps.
Nice.
No, I don't remember that one.
It was like Duckman, and I know the people who talked about it because it was out for print for a short limited time, and then, it was called Duckman was the name of the show. And it was like one of those old school adult cartoon shows about just this gambling Duckman.
I can't get Howard the Duck out of my head ever since you said Duckman. I just like it. Howard the Duck.
The only reason I remember Howard the Duck is if you watch the actual Howard the Duck show, that scene where he gets transported like through the walls of the apartments in his chair, it cuts through a duck woman taking a bath, and you see duck tits. And someone did a review, and there's a clip where it goes duck tits, woo!
Oh my gosh!
And like the freaking Frick, what's the one with Huey, Dewey, and Louie? DuckTales. So it's duck tits, woo!
Nice.
Now we know what the chat is going to be looking up later.
We're not responsible for any trauma incurred.
Get a VPN. Violence is a card shark out there pretending to be nothing at cards and pool, then wiping the floor with everyone. Also said duck milk. Is that a thing? Do ducks milk? I don't know.
No, I got no idea. I don't know.
Have memories. They're eggs. They're eggs. They don't milk.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Fair. That is a fair point.
I don't know. Once they introduced almond milk,
the only mammal that can lay.
This is true.
Yeah. Unless you're a platypus. Platypuses both excrete milk and lay eggs.
Wow. I need to catch back up on my animals. I feel like I'm lacking in my. You did.
Well, you don't learn which animals milk on that little. The duck says quack. The cow goes moo. The platypus lays eggs and has milk. Oh, you don't say. Thank you.
And how often, really, are you going to encounter a platypus?
Yeah.
A platypus? Bury the platypus!
Yeah, I think aren't platypuses like not safe to touch? So I couldn't imagine going to like try to milk a platypus and you got like icky, probably deadly oil on your hands.
They have poison spines. They have hidden poison spines and hidden in their fur. That's what it is.
I had no idea. I had no idea any of this. So ducks don't milk. We are We are all in agreement over that now that we're in the know. And platypus is a strange creature. Yeah, I've never even seen a platypus in real life. Do they even have them at the zoo? I know they have beavers, but not about platypus.
I think it depends. I think there's been a few zoos I've been to. I think that have them, but I
Mhm.
don't think many have them. I think they're kind of one of those creatures where you don't want to mess with them. It's kind of the same as like a. There's like another zoo animal that's like you really don't want to mess with. But I can't remember at the top of my head. But platypuses, it's hit and miss depending on the zoo if they have them or not.
It's like they're
Very
looking at all of these
interesting.
creatures that have gone extinct, and then they look at the platypus like, I'd trade any of them for you.
I was just gonna say, I don't even know like where they fit into the ecosystem, like what they're good for or what they do or anything like that. So they must not be too important. But then
Sounds like
again,
they make a pretty good surf and turf platter.
yeah, well, that depends on who you're asking these. They are making turkeys out of tofu. That's where I'm gonna leave that one.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
Dude, have you seen that? Have you
100%.
seen that meme? There's a meme where it's like, sir, that Eckham deli ham, does it come in low sodium? And then it's like this really long, drawn out paragraph where it's like, ma'am, that is an emulsified pig turned into a cube with all bones and cartilage emulsified into one
I saw that one.
form. God had no hand in creating this monstrosity, and it proves that either he looks away at what deeds we do down here, or that he's totally oblivious. Either which way, yes, it does come in a low sodium alternative.
I remember that someone actually made a video, I think, using that. I think that's what I saw. That's why I'm familiar with it.
So good. Losing it. It's one of those things.
Well, it just reminded me of Spam-A-Lot for whatever reason.
Spam, 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 spam.
Yep, pretty much. That was one of the weirdest things I think my dad ever told me about his childhood growing up is they used to eat when he was in the army cannibal sandwiches, which is the equivalent of ground meat on two pieces of bread, like just raw, like gross.
Cannibal sandwich. That's a different way to call something.
I can
Yeah,
dig it.
eating raw meat. Yeah, totally gross. So, we covered our traditions, we covered our food, we covered what we're thankful for, we covered our families. What is some of the snafus of the season that you would avoid at all costs? What last thing on the list that I want to know is what's the worst things that you've experienced that you can share with somebody so that it doesn't happen to them? Shit on a shingle. That is gross. And do
I
you
love
make
to
yours
shit
with
on a
chipped
shingle.
ham or do you make yours with tuna? Ham or tuna?
For me, the shit on a shingle, we do we basically just do, it's like biscuits and gravy for me. We just
Oh,
didn't have the
okay.
biscuits. It's so much easier to just get cheap loaf bread than to make the biscuits, and you just put the breakfast gravy on top of the bread. Perhaps buttered first is if we were feeling really nice.
Ew, fried frog legs. Violet said her grandfather liked fried frog legs, but that's not very weird for the French. The French like frog legs, and Louisiana is high on that, which I think is around where she's at. Um, For anybody, I'm gonna do the snafus. For anybody that is going to travel in the snow when you're out in the wilderness, goodness gracious, please get gas. That's all I'm gonna say. Do not forget to get gas. Don't go underneath that quarter tank because I don't know who needs to hear this, but I'm sure somebody does. Gas freezes. And if you don't have enough together inside the car, it will freeze. And walking to get gas really sucks.
For sure.
That's my biggest snafu and my piece of advice to everybody?
I think, well, I would say, first off, never vote Democrat would be my first snafu. Second one would be this is what my personal, because I do this. If you're going to drive for hours at a time and you're just getting off work, get yourself a giant container to fill with like a soda or a drink of your choice, or some sort of caffeinated thing to keep your ass awake so you don't fall asleep behind the wheel. I have made the mistake of it wasn't even on a trip. I fell asleep behind the wheel one time driving from town to town, and I crashed through a one of those giant above ground like power stations. Just barreled right through it like years ago because I was playing Magic the Gathering with some friends all night and pulled an all nighter when I shouldn't have, and I fell asleep on the drive back home, and so. Yeah,
there's another tip. Don't play Magic the Gathering all night because it'll suck you in.
Well, at this point, I think me and Patty would probably say, don't play Magic the Gathering at all. Because the company that made it, especially because of the company that makes it.
True story.
So much better things to do with your time, I promise you.
That's true. It got kind of crazy after you could create decks that wouldn't even let your opponent cast a card. Like, that's when I kind of lost interest in the whole thing, which I know was like immediately after like second edition.
Yeah, as far as like games go, my in-laws are actually pretty good. My mom, my grandma, and my mom all love to play Catan, so we always play that when we get together. And then I've tried to my very first Christmas with my in-laws before I actually married Kitty was that like our taboo, our snafu was don't challenge Travis to Monopoly. And I was like, well, that's fair. So the day is going on, and we unwrapped all of our presents. We already ate. Everyone's hanging out and they're chilling. And then all of a sudden, my brother-in-law goes, hey, does anyone want to play Monopoly? And I'm like, oh, yeah. And I don't know, it was a day that I was having. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. Let's whip it out. Let's play some Monopoly. And Kitty was like, no.
What have you done?
12 hours later, we're still playing this game. Nobody's, and then I just eventually, exactly. Eventually, I threw the game to his son because he was like dying. He was, I don't know, he must have been like 8 or 9 maybe at the time. And he was done. So I sold him Boardwalk, and he technically won the game. And then my future brother-in-law looked at me and goes, well, I was going to win. And I was like, I don't think any of us were going to win. He goes, no. If I don't win by the rules, I win because I'm the last one sitting at this table. How dare you? And like the entire family looked at me and like, he did it. He actually did it. He beat Travis. So
hero status.
I ended up and I'd like to get them games. So like the last board game that I got them as a family Christmas present was Redneck Life. If you're familiar with Life, the board game.
Okay.
Basically that game, but instead of like the really cool fancy spinner, you just use 2d6 to move around. And the winner is the person that dies, because in the game of life you die. That's just what happens. But the winner is the person that has the most teeth and the least amount of debt by the time they die. So if you're looking for a new board game to bring to your family, you gotta check out Redneck Life. It's super funny. Like there's like this never-ending race for youngins. They don't call them kids; they call them youngins. And so like there's all the different events that it's like, oh, you went to the family reunion, add a youngin. And you're like, no, or like, oh yeah, you won a scratch card and bought some tickets to go to the monster truck rally, but you left one of your kids, lose a youngin. So, like,
Oh my
by
goodness.
the end of your life, you got like
Jesus.
36 kids and like maybe 2 teeth, and for each tooth that you die with, it gets you so far out of debt. It's funny, it's
That's
funny when
great.
people are getting really into it.
Oh yeah, no, that is awesome. Violet says we have pain where you soak bread in a mixture of eggs, buttermilk, and fry it. Oh, that sounds good. Um, my mom had a pool table. I'm a big pool player. I don't have a pool table, but I like to play pool in addition to board games. And I love that you brought up Monopoly. That was a big thing again for my husband in his house. And we tried to teach it to the kids, but like in your case and scenario, the adults always win, and the children got tired of that really fast. So they refused. They would not play Monopoly with us at all. We had to get, we actually got Star Wars Clue, and they really enjoyed
nice.
that. That was a lot of fun. What are your favorite board games with the family there, Hunter?
So I remember a while back. It was fun. It was funny because I think my dad actually got this during the pandemic. Was we got the board game pandemic.
Oh my goodness.
Like,
that was probably funny.
no, I got it as a gift one year. That's what I remember. I got it as a gift during the year. I think it was like during the year after the pandemic started. I got Pandemic and I actually bought an expansion for it.
Oh my
And then
goodness.
we've done Clue, we've done Monopoly, we got Life, all the classic board games. But then I have a Zombicide game where the theme of it is based on the original Night of the Living Dead movie.
Oh, dude,
So
that's a cool one.
it's that whole plot. It's a Zombicide game. I also have I think if I recall correctly, because I own it, it's called Our Last Winter, which you're playing as survivors during a zombie apocalypse as
That's
well. So
cool.
that's another one that I got a couple Christmases back, and I played it with my family, teaching them how to play it. And then I have another game. It uses a pandemic rule system, but instead you're trying to stop Cthulhu from coming back.
Yep, I've got that one. Yep, I got it right there.
Right there. That's freaking awesome. Oh, that's great. Yeah, Battleship. Violence said Battleship. I have not played Battleship in so freaking long.
You suck
That's
my
another good one.
Battleship.
Yeah, that's another good one. But I don't know. I always felt like after you got a good idea of where the first couple ships were, it was cheating because the board's only so big. So
I saw one very special version where it was like a 3D battleship where it was like 3 different layers on each side. So it's like it's like 3D chess but a 3D battleship.
yeah.
So
Was it like starships or was it like submarines too?
it was like ships and submarines, I think.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that. It was advertised for a short period of time, right after they revamped the boards or whatever. I noticed that, and I think that's kind of sad. That there's not really a whole lot of marketing of these types of strategy games to the kids. It really is reliant upon us and our generation. Hunter, we were kind of going over that right before we went live about things being lost in translation. So, I guess to move us into the last and final chapter here is just things that I don't want to see get lost are the things that I'm forefront about carrying onward into the traditions for the season. And again, starting back in like the beginning of October, end of September. My oldest daughter, her birthday was September 20th. So we'd usually start all of our holiday activities right around there and just kind of right into the new year. But we don't stop until Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like one right after another.
Yeah.
I said, so what do you guys plan on I guess making sure doesn't die with our generation. What's the biggest thing that you're driving home to the family?
For me is actually getting together. Being geographically located so far away from my family, is something that I've become more aware of as I've become an adult, and I see how close my in-laws are. You know, they're um, a lot of the time they're spending a lot of the time year round together, and that's pretty cool considering. You know, I think we might be one of the farthest ones away. The way that it's set up is the mother and the father live in one town, and then the oldest daughter is like 45 minutes away. Then the next oldest daughter is like 2 hours away. Then the next oldest daughter is 3 hours away, and then we're like right at 3 hours and like 15 minutes.
So they just kept going further, huh?
Well, yeah, and it's kind of cool because I mean they're almost at the center point where it's like, you know, if I were to go to visit this one daughter, my sister-in-law, it would be like a 5-hour drive, but then the next oldest sister is like, it's perfectly triangulated where it takes me just as long to go see her as it does for her to go see them. So like when we can all meet up together, that's like really cool.
That's
and then the
awesome.
oldest sister is close enough that we can get random visits from her too. So I think it's that, because when I was growing up, basically as soon as I graduated high school, I was out of the house and I moved away. And then that first birthday and Thanksgiving, since it was so close together, I was like, damn dog, I miss my mom. You know, so there's that. Of course, they're a very Christian family, so having that prayer time all together is like the only time I've ever seen them pray together. That's kind of cool to watch them get be able to share their faith like that. And then yeah, the games and the sport, because that was one thing I didn't really expect out of my in-laws is, since I've been celebrating holidays with them, is they're very much into non-traditional games. Like I said, with like the marshmallow, or they have like the giant ball of saran wrap that's got little grab me's in there. So you have like so long to unwrap the saran wrap to get gifts, and they're like little dollar store toys or whatever. So I think that's really cool. Eventually I would like to go hunting with them, but hunting out of state is expensive. So I think I will stick to going to grab the game that they get and then helping them process it when it happens. Because I do, it's kind of morbid, but there's something about like butchering an animal and being organized about it that's kind of centering, activates monkey brain.
Oh, it really is, and taps into that like primordial feeling of being in control of not only your food and the nourishment for your family, but kind of like, I hate to say, a sense of pride because it's accomplishment. I understand completely. I love it. I think that's great.
So my thing would be, I think still gotta go with just being with family, because I mean, on top of it, I mean, families I think are part of the reason why the election went the way it did, was because it was we started thinking about not just ourselves, but how everything was affecting the family as a whole, and so that's why the election turned out the way it did. And on top of that, I have my own personal reasons why I'm not afraid of death or of dying. But that doesn't mean that I'm not ignorant of the fact that I'm not getting any younger. Because let's see, because like I said, my grandmother passed away not long after she passed away. Because before that, one of my great aunts, her sister, passed away before that, and then not long after my grandmother passed away last year, my last great aunt on that side of the family passed away.
Rough. It always happens like that.
Yeah, and then my grandfather on my dad's side, he's in the beginning stage of Alzheimer's, and it's not getting any better. It's kind of like my Nana, who helps him out with everything. Like, she sees it all as it's happening, and it's not. And like I said, it's not getting any better. So I just sit here and I just have to think about. I just think and see like all people that I know and love are going on. And like, I still think about my great grandfather. He passed away many years ago. I mean, he was 96, though. We thought he was never going to die. And I say that in a good way. Because he was still old, but he was as spry as he can be for a 96-year-old, though. He was not in horrible health, but he was so old to the point that it was just his time. And I just sit here and I think about, be with your family, and just realize how much they all love and care for you, because God only knows how long you're going to be. God only knows if that may be the last time you may see him again. Because
Really
I
good
remember,
sentiment.
yeah.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's fine. I thought I had another thought, but it slipped away. So that was
Oh.
the main point.
I'm sorry. I was going to say that's a really good sentiment, because a lot of people are letting stupid things like politics step in the way of their families right now. And there's bigger fish to fry. You know, if you have a legitimate concern or issue, it's one thing. But to let the pettiness get in between yourself and living and life and so on is just one of those things that I really hope that we can eradicate moving into the future, and just kind of teach our kids a little bit better not to be petty, kind of let it go. And you know, that wonderful stuff. But we'll stop being sentimental and mushy.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I want to say, because we started off with kind of like what we were thankful for. I am thankful for you guys. You both have been such great friends to me. My favorite dirty leprechaun, and my favorite conservative witch, as I'm fighting alongside as her moderate paladin, as I describe it now, but in our conversations. So you guys you guys are great to talk to. You all have both been supportive of me. And just the fact that we agree on the majority of stuff is an absolute plus. Like we could all three be disagreeing with each other, and I'm pretty sure, but we all realize it's not just because we disagree doesn't mean we can't get along. So
this is true. This is absolutely true. Patty, anything else that you would like to say to the people? I think we are almost on our way out the door now. I've exhausted all of my questions for my lovelies in the chat, and for you two wonderful gentlemen. And I just want to say real quick before you go, it is extremely funny to me how much we all still had in common, right? Like you just said it, Hunter. We're so different. We're in completely different parts of the United States, but we are still all doing the same activities with the same intentions.
Yeah, I mean, my closing out thoughts is I read some stuff that really kind of broke my heart for some of my friends. So if you guys are catching this, I wish you the absolute best. Nobody deserves that level of discomfort. I know that this year might be a particularly rough one, because there's a bunch of people who are gonna have to come to terms with a reality that they weren't shown before. So this year might have been a rough one, but that doesn't have to define your holiday seasons and your family gatherings moving forward. So I hope that you stay the path, and you learn to engage in your patience, and have faith that you can move on and grow together, because people are going to need that moving forward. And then, I've come from a family where I've had to just say, you know what, my life is better off without you, and you're better off without me, and that's okay. It's a little bit harder to come to terms with when somebody benefits from having you around, even though you don't benefit from having them around. If anything, they bring you down. That's a different conversation. But when both of you are just better off without each other, I know it sucks, but you can come to terms with that. You can live with that. And if you are at that point and it's a rough struggle for you, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm sure you could reach out to any of these two wonderful people here, and they'll help you get through it. But I'm grateful for you guys. I'm grateful to be able to share this time with you. I've been missing both of you so much. It's just been going and going and going. So I'm really grateful that I've been able to hop on here and hang out with you guys today.
Yeah,
the kid, the kids, they do this now. I'm trying to be cool. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, you gotta hold it at like the right angle. You gotta hold it like the right angle.
Don't do this. If you do it, but if you do this, then it means something else.
Oh, okay. No, I'm not doing that. Kind of like
my
this.
violin. I'm playing the tiniest violin for you.
No, we're not. We're not. We're playing big violins for everybody because they're beautiful. And side note, just because the violins came into play, there was a band in the parade that played Green Sleeves, which happens to be one of my favorite classical songs ever, and they did a really good job. So it's funny that you should say that with the violins and then get classical music into my head. Now I'm going to have to go listen to that song. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite. But anyways, thank you so much to everybody that was in the chat, especially Violence is Life. I don't get a chance to talk to her very often, but in the comment section on YouTube, I'm thankful for you guys because it is always fun to have a wonderful guest, but to let alone have two who are like-minded and also raising kids, because that's another big thing that we have trouble with in our community is not everybody has children. And I think it's really important for the parents to get out and talk to everybody about instilling this into the next generation. And not as in like crazy, oh, you must do as we say, but in the leadership role that I think that you two in particular are great examples of. Not only are you engaged family men, you are not shy about talking about it, and you're being progressive in going out and reaching out and making yourselves available to other people with these things as well. So I just want you two to know that you are shining examples of men, and I am thankful for you as well. Thank you so very much for spending time with me tonight. And on that note, guys, I guess we'll see everybody on the next one.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.